I feel like this has to be said. You do not need the latest graphics card to enjoy gaming. A lot of gamers spend a ridiculous amount of money to constantly upgrade every time a new piece of PC hardware comes out. But I'm not the one to judge. I am also a part of this community, and I have also succumbed to the fear of missing out, FOMO. First of all, I'd like to point out that gaming used to be this social thing that we do with our friends when we were younger, right? Nothing beats a classic split-screen multiplayer game, right? And growing up in the Philippines where I was born, we had this thing called internet cafes. Me and my classmates would play Dota, and eventually we moved on to Call of Duty 4, and then League of Legends. And it was fun. It was a very, very fun time just playing with your friends. But as gaming, progressed, it became more and more single player oriented. A lot of games from Sony, we can see that from Sony, they release a lot of third person single player games, right? It moved on to single player games, and then funnily enough, it's now back to multiplayer games again with the rise of free to play games like Fortnite, Valorant, Overwatch, and so. These games that are free to play can run on very low spec PCs, and for a good reason. The companies want a lot of people from all walks of life to play. That's how they make money, from cosmetics and everything. So where am I going with this? I'd argue that it's more fun than some single player games, because let's face it, if we play single player games, it just feels lonely and sad, honestly. It doesn't beat multiplayer games at all. However, there are some merits to single player games. Obviously, the story of those games can be fleshed out. They are more exceptional. They're more excellent games, story-wise and lore-wise. I'm not saying that you should play multiplayer games. I'm just saying that a lot of people are now just more so playing free-to-play games. And as I've said, I don't think that's a bad thing. What I think now is buying expensive graphics cards like the 4090, going into debt just to get those pieces of hardware, PC hardware, is kind of not as important as it used to be. And then there's this ego thing that we all have in the PC community, that we pixel peep, we frame count, we try to optimize our PC as much as possible. But, God forbid, lowering the settings to accommodate to your graphics card. A lot of gamers don't want to do that. I believe that you don't need ultra quality settings to enjoy your single player games. And you also don't need a 4090 to enjoy these very accessible free-to-play games. Actually, for free-to-play games, it's advised to really lower everything to get the best frame rate, to get the best performance. Does getting a $1,500 graphics card give you an edge over others? No, not really. Also, I don't just want to blame the consumer here. Companies like Nvidia and AMD have been really comfortable lately charging so much for their graphics cards. But I still feel like the current 4080 right now is too expensive. Hypothetically speaking, that if I were to upgrade my 3080 to 4080, it would be so much money. It would cost so much. And yes, I know these graphics cards, these newer graphics cards are much better than the older ones, I'd expect. You have frame generation, they have AI, they have better AI, they have better ray tracing and everything. But then again, if you just want to play single player games, you don't really need the best quality settings, right? Looking at the Steam hardware and software survey in June 2024, the most used graphics card is a 3060. It's a mid-tier card, and the next is a 1650. A lot of people are still enjoying single player games, albeit with lower settings, and that's all right. We don't see console gamers complaining about the graphics. And you should not feel pressured to really go out of your financial comfort zone and get into debt just to get the latest and greatest graphics card or CPU or anything like that to play some PC games. And not a lot of games right now merit that kind of money. And not to mention, games are really expensive nowadays. But I guess if you are a streamer and you need that extra power than oomph, then by all means, you can deduct that from your taxes if you own a business, right? But for the common person like all of us, we should not feel pressured to buy something outside our financial comfort zone. Also, I like to add that playing retro games is so underrated. There's still a lot of great older titles that basically can run on your PC without making it sweat. Also, I hope that parents aren't pressured to buy their kids the most expensive graphics cards too. Let's take a game, for instance, Baldur's Gate. This game can this game can run on a Steam Deck. Also, I'd like to add, now that I thought about it, this Steam Deck is so popular right now and its specs are extremely low. Basically, you're playing at a 720p, you're targeting 720p resolution, right? A lot of people are enjoying more right now playing on their Steam Deck because they can go outside, they can play anywhere and not be tethered to your PC. That alone justifies the lower resolution, the lower settings, the lower performance, blows it all out. Because now we can now finally game here or there when we have the spare time. Like maybe 10 minutes, 15 minutes while you're waiting in line at a shop, you can play. Or I don't know, in your break, lunch break, you can now finally play. And then the Steam Deck has this cool feature where you can suspend everything. It's a sleep mode essentially. That's pretty cool. So why is it that these people that bought the Steam Deck are enjoying themselves much more than some gamers with the latest and greatest graphics cards, right? I think we should reevaluate and step back and think about what games used to be like. What made games fun? Playing on a PC tethered to your gaming desk for hours and consuming like around 800 to 1000 watts right now, because how power hungry these cards can get, it's just not as fun, you know? Honestly, right now, I'm looking forward to the ROG Ally X, and the Z1 Extreme chip that they use is the same as the old ROG Ally, and the APU on that handheld is better than on the Steam Deck, and it's running Windows, and with an upgraded battery, I can imagine how fun it would be to play retro games on the go. Anywhere. When you're at Starbucks, you're at a coffee shop, you're at Starbucks, you're in the airport. Basically, the whole point of this video is to not let yourself fall into the FOMO trap. Use what you have and run it to the ground. Do not be ashamed to lower your settings. Try out a lot more games like free-to-play games that can be fun as well. Hell, you don't even have to use a PC. You can buy a console for much cheaper, the Series S. Now everybody can play. You can play with a lot more people. And I'd argue that's more fun. Thank you for watching. This is Josh from Bored Minds Think Alike. And I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. Cheers.